114-109.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Daily Wolves podcast. Today, I'm here, as always, with Andrew. Great to have you on, Andrew. We are without Evan today. Evan is working a late one tonight, so we're just going to be us tonight covering the post game. But Wolves get a huge win, 114-109 versus the 76ers tonight. Definitely a nail-biter, a game that did not need to be as close as it was, a game that shouldn't have been as close as it was. But we ended up getting a dub. Anthony Edwards with the craziest shot that I've seen from him in a while. And hey, it's a clutch game shot. So what they're going to say now? But all around, yeah, got the win tonight, and that's what counts. Andrew, what were your takeaways from the game tonight?
Ant 18 points in the fourth quarter. He decided that the game was over. I think he scored the final 8 for the Wolves, which is ridiculous. He's ascending. My other takeaway is that just thank goodness there's not bad teams in the playoffs, because this team slept walk through the first. They showed a little bit of chutzpah in the second, build up like a 10-point lead, blew that third quarter, let Philly kind of just hang around, and then it took Ant kind of going crazy in the fourth to win it. But that's just how this team has been. That's the DNA. So when postseason comes, thank goodness Philadelphia isn't going to be in the postseason. My other takeaway is just Nick Nurse, man. Like, what are we doing? Like, you came too close to winning a game that you had to lose. If we're going to talk tanking, that's crazy that it was that close and that he was still going with his guys. But that probably shows Nick Nurse's. That's why he's a good coach. He tries to win.
Right. That's what sports are about. Play till the whistle. You can only complain so much. One of the players that I wanted to highlight tonight, we'll start obviously with Anthony Edwards. We kind of already covered it. 37 points tonight, 18 of those coming in the fourth. Kind of the reason that we won tonight, showing up big in the fourth quarter. Anything big takeaways from Ant? Any knocks? Anything that you want to see improve?
It's hard to make knocks on Ant because he is like he's going to be all NBA first team this year. Like it's probably going to be him and Mitchell as the two, I would assume. If not, he's for sure all NBA second team. Like, it's hard to find knocks, but again, he just wasn't really aggressive in the first quarter. He wasn't really looking for a whole lot of anything for most of the game. He finished with just 2 assists, 2 rebounds. That's pretty indicative of like his effort level coming into it. But when the Wolves needed him to take over the game and win it, he took over the game and won it. I think the other thing I noticed that just kind of stuck out more today, because, when pulling back the curtain, the media seats at Target Center, you're sitting like lower level in the corner. You don't get to see like everything like when you're watching TV. Ant's just a super good teammate. Like, he's just always dapping people up. He's constantly communicating. He's constantly, like, anytime Rudy does anything, or Jaden had a tough game, but Jaden, I think, had like a deflection and Ant was hyping him up. It's just like, again, thinking 5 years ago when this kid was a rookie and like he just looked so kind of lost in like what to do in a game flow. And now he's just taken over this team. So that's my other takeaway. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, it was kind of like you said. It's been awesome to see the growth of Ant as a person, as a player, and as a leader this season. Kind of handed him the keys to the franchise this season after we traded Cat, and that was kind of something that I questioned a little bit. Obviously, him only being 23 years old, there is kind of a maturity standpoint. You're giving a 23-year-old the keys to an entire city coming off a Western Conference Finals appearance. That's a lot of pressure, and that's a lot. But yeah, tonight, something that I noticed, I'm not going to knock on it, but it's something that I've kind of been keeping an eye on the last few games. But the difference between Anthony Edwards going left, whether that's driving, whether that's shooting, just a jab step, him going left, I am convinced is like better than prime Michael Jordan. And then you see it go right sometimes. And it almost has just felt like a guaranteed miss these last 3 games outside of the great 3 tonight, which is why we love Ant. The killer confidence, the I don't care if I miss my last shot. But I just thought that was super interesting. And that's something that I'm definitely going to keep looking at going forward, because you hear it in the media, you hear it every now and then. Grady and Jim Pete are going to bring it up that Ant's better going left and he prefers to go left. And it's for obvious reason. But yeah, that was kind of my big takeaway for Ant tonight. Another big player in the box score who is, I would say, playing like the best center in basketball over the last 2 weeks is Mr. Rudy Gobert. Another amazing game tonight, getting another 2015, and I believe that's his fifth straight, maybe fourth straight. 23 points tonight, 19 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks on 90% shooting for Rudy Gobert. Where did this come from Rudy? Because I feel like after he came back from the injury, or even prior to the injury, it kind of looked like he was struggling. It looked like he was a little bit sluggish. He didn't really look like himself. Maybe that's just me, but what do you think kind of like switched this, or changed and flipped the switch for Rudy, I should say?
Well, I can't remember if we were talking about it on after the Brooklyn game, or if we were talking about, or if it was on a different podcast. My days are bleeding together, but I mean, Rudy is just an interesting guy to play with. I think we learned it in 21-22 when we traded for him, that it takes time. Like, Rudy is it takes time to earn his trust on defense. I mean, earlier in the season, he was really hedging out towards shooters. He wasn't closing well on drives. He wasn't really closing well on, like, even in the drop step scheme, he would kind of like hedge out to help like Dante or Julius. And now he trusts them. And I think it's as simple as that. He's in better position for rebounds. He's in better positions for steals. His blocks are down, but I've kind of discussed it before. It's more a symptom of like the Wolves are trying to improve their rebounding. And when Rudy's going for a block on every play, he's not in position for rebounding. So like, his blocks are down because they're prioritizing his rebounding over blocks. I really think it's as simple as that, is just he trusts the guys around him now and he's locked in. The other side of it is on offense. Rudy needs to touch the ball. Like, he's a 7'3" giant. One of his superpowers is when he's playing with Mike Conley, Mike can throw up that floater shot that looks exactly like a lob dunk, keeps defenses on its toes. He's also really good at just catching the ball, taking a step, and dunking. He also can pass like fairly well for a 7'3" giant. Like, it's not great all the time, but it's serviceable. And they got to learn to use that more. I mean, when they're using Rudy in the short roll, which short roll for people who aren't sickos like me is basically like when you do a pick and roll and he bursts towards straight line to the hoop, you hit him real quick on it as he's rolling. And what it does is it forces the defense to collapse. It forces shooters to get open in the corners, and then it allows Rudy to pass the ball out and start making the defense kind of scramble. They weren't doing that at all earlier in the season. Whether it was, again, comfortability. Mike is kind of the main guy that uses Rudy on this team. He was dealing with all the injuries. At the end of the day, like, when Rudy's getting going on offense, though, you see it. He has that extra bit of adrenaline on defense. And anyone who's played basketball knows how much it sucks to just never touch the ball. When you're playing pickup and there's just like 3 dudes that are passing to each other, it sucks. You don't want to run back on defense as much. You don't want to play as hard. You don't want to set screens. You'd like to think that this being their full-time job, that it isn't that way in the NBA, but like, all of them acknowledge it. Rudy has talked about it at length this season. Jaden's talked about it. Mike's talked about it. Ant's talked about it. Finch harps on it constantly, that when the ball movement stops on offense, their defense suffers immensely. And I think that's been it. Rudy trusts his guys, and then he's feeling involved with the team. And if that's all it takes to get like 20 games out of Rudy consistently, like, what a time to figure that out going into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's literally what I was just going to touch on as well. Like, we can have all this, Rudy hasn't played well, Rudy's this, Rudy's that, he's washed earlier in the season. But like you said, when it really comes down to it, whether it's trust, whether it's chemistry, there's no better time. I would say that this has definitely been Rudy Gobert's best stretch of games in a Timberwolves uniform over the 3 years that we've seen him, over these last 6-7 games. And something else that I wanted to touch on tonight too, kind of in that second and third quarter when we kind of were struggling a little bit. You saw tonight the importance of what it means to have a Mike Conley, what it means to have a Rudy Gobert. And I feel like I need to kind of take a step back and remind myself that sometimes, because earlier in the season or middle of the season, I wasn't necessarily too happy with Mike's play. It just kind of felt like he was out there because he's old and whatnot. But yeah,
You're
Mike,
not wrong, Matt. He is out there because he's old.
yeah, he is. But we it seems like we've seen 2023, 2024 Mike Conley over the month of March and even into tonight. He just keeps he keeps all the guys together, he keeps them collected. He makes the smart decisions. He makes the right reads. And like you said, having the 1-2 game with Rudy, it's just another added layer of the floater. Is it a lob? If it is a floater, Rudy's there to clean it up and kick it out too. Because I also feel like Rudy's playmaking, I know you touched on it briefly, but I've never been more confident in Rudy taking it and just making the right pass, making the right decision. Right here, Cole said McDaniels and Nas. Kind of frustrating. I feel like to some degree, that is fair. It has been a frustrating couple stretches of games for Nas and Jaden both, but what does it matter? You know, we've won 5 games in a row. I'm going to take team success over individual success. Yes, it is frustrating. Yes, it is upsetting to see players like Jaden McDaniels struggle after he's hooped so well and so consistently, especially on the offensive side of the ball over these last 3 months. Naz Reid, he's kind of one of those guys I don't worry about as much. He's streaky. That's just what it is. When Naz is cold, he's cold. You can see it. He doesn't play the game free. He thinks too much. And I think tonight was just one of those things. He had 9 points, shot 4 for 10, which it's not ideal, but it could be worse. But the 5 turnovers, and then he had 3 fouls in like 2 minutes. You could just tell Nas was kind of mentally checked out of this game, and it just wasn't one for him. So I'm not really worried too much, but is there anything that you want to add to that or just kind of touch on that with Andrew?
Jaden's a really big confidence guy. So to me, it's less about it's less about if Jaden's scoring points and it's if Jaden's still shooting. I think as long as Jaden's still driving and shooting and getting up like 6 or 7 to 12 shots a game, like I'm not going to complain if he's missing, because last year, earlier this year, kind of his whole career, if he goes 0 for 2, he stops shooting, which the Wolves cannot afford that. They cannot afford to have defenses just leaving Jaden because they know his confidence shot. So as long as he's still shooting, still playing well on defense, like I think he'll be all right. Like he's still an asset to the team. Nas, I mean, games like tonight are kind of the games where he has the Jekyll and Hyde syndrome, where he is either really, really good, really pretty bad, and nothing in between. I mean, and if you're a Wolves fan that is worried if like the Wolves are going to pay him, that's probably the biggest. If the Wolves don't pay him, that's probably the biggest reason they won't pay him, is because he's 5, 6 years into the league now. He's still this streaky. He's improved in so many things. So I think the bet is pretty safe that, Naz Reid is going to be fine and he's going to figure out how to be more consistent. But at this stage in his career, it is tough. Naz Reid can win you a game, but he can also come pretty darn close to losing you one at this point, which is tough. He's still a young player. He's still trying to figure it out. And I kind of agree with you. I think there was a lot of Wolves players that weren't necessarily as locked in at the beginning of this game. And that's been a symptom of theirs the entire season, which a win's a win. Like you said, 5 in a row. They won the 2 easy games. Now they get to go. Now they get to go to Milwaukee, they get to go to Memphis, and then they finish up with a couple easy ones at home. 4-0 is starting to look like what they need to go to get that 6th seed, with Memphis, LA Clippers, and Golden State all just continuing to win now.
Yeah, and then kind of just touch on the topic of, like you said, with the Grizzlies and all those other teams. Memphis, unfortunately, another win tonight for a team that we needed to lose. We kind of talked about this before we started the stream. It just feels like over these last 2 weeks, whatever we need to happen, if it's the Clippers, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, the Warriors, if we one of those 5 teams to lose, ain't gonna happen. Just chalk it. So it is frustrating seating wise coming down the stretch because you start to play your best basketball, but other teams also start their best basketball or just win games they need to. But I feel like coming down, I just kind of have this thought now, coming down towards the end of the season, like sure, you want a higher seed. Sure, you want to shoot for that 4, that 5, that whatever seed. But with us playing basketball like this, we know what the top teams in the West look like. But that 3
Yep.
through 8 seed, it kind of seems like we're all on that, not A tier, but like the B tier, like we could win a matchup in a series just depending on who we draw.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's not gonna affect us as much just with who we draw in the playoffs because we are playing our best basketball and we do show out against good teams. Anthony Edwards loves the spotlight. He loves national TV. Excuse me. But yeah, like you kind of said, looking forward to the Milwaukee game on Tuesday. That's going to be in Milwaukee. Just quick game preview. What are you looking for against the Milwaukee Bucks? Damian Lillard is still out with that blood clot for the foreseeable future, and Bobby Portis is still out with the suspension. So those are 2 really big names that the Bucks are not going to have. What are you looking forward to on Tuesday night from this team?
So I'm just looking for, I mean, it's going to be a high scoring game. The Wolves don't really have anyone for Giannis. Jaden is their best bet. Maybe Julius. Julius, I guess, played him pretty okay in the playoffs, but like Giannis is going to score a lot, I think, on Tuesday. And the Bucks don't have anything for Ant. I mean, their perimeter defense is kind of in shambles, and their interior is really just Giannis and Lopez at this point. So this could be a game where, much like the Denver game, Giannis is going for 50 and Ant's going for 40 something, and it's kind of a thrilling game. I think the Wolves will wake up for it. I think Giannis is a good enough opponent to where they're going to be excited to play the game. If I'm looking for something like in the meantime, it's just like you said with the seeding. Every game matters around the league. Denver has Golden State and Memphis still. Memphis is playing Denver. The Lakers have Oklahoma City and a back-to-back still. The Warriors are playing Denver, Houston, Phoenix, and the Clippers. It's just going to be a crazy stretch to finish the season. And the Wolves, I think they're capable of going 4-0, which it starts with Milwaukee. I wish I had more analysis other than I'm excited to watch Giannis. I mean, we got robbed of it here at the Target Center. It sucks with these Eastern Conference teams because you just don't get to see them if you don't we only play them twice. And I know, Matt, you're in Wisconsin, so I apologize, but I'm not watching 35 Bucks games a year.
Right.
So I'm just excited to see kind of what Giannis looks like because it'll be another nice test for this Wolves team on just how versatile they can be defensively. And then, if you're going to extrapolate Giannis and see what you can learn from that matchup, I mean, he's such a different player, but I think if they can figure something out with like Julius or McDaniels, that should give you maybe some more hope that like if they match up against the Lakers, they can figure something out with LeBron where he's not just bowling through people, but we'll see.
Yes, we will see indeed. And that was kind of my big thing that I was kind of thinking of too. With Giannis kind of being the one-man show in this game, I feel like that's kind of how we are going to go about it. Throw a little bit of Jaden on him, throw him a Julius. Who knows? Maybe we see a Jalen Clark on Giannis just because he's a short, stocky guy. Sure, maybe it won't be effective, but maybe this is just going to be kind of like a trial and error thing. So we don't run into something like we did in the playoffs last year. Like where it's you kind of throw Nikhil at Luka, Jaden at Luka. Oh shit, it's game 4, time to panic. Who do we throw at him? So I feel like, maybe that's something to look for when you, like you said, when you play these guys like a Luka, like a LeBron, like an SGA in the playoffs. And now, obviously, sure, none of those guys play similar or have a similar build to Giannis, but it's just kind of something to keep in the back of your head. And yeah, 4 games left in the regular season. At Milwaukee on Tuesday, at Memphis on Thursday, and then we got 2 home games. We got a back-to-back after the Memphis game. We got Brooklyn at home, and then we have the last game of the year. We have Utah on Sunday night. And I don't know if you saw, Andrew, while we were talking about seeding, but there was and is still a possible, I don't know if still possible, I should say, for us to climb up to that 3, for us to climb up to that 4 seed, just with all these other teams having difficult schedules, and with with the Lakers playing Oklahoma City twice, with Golden State having tough opponents, like you stated, and us having these easy opponents. It's going to be interesting. It kind of gives me those 2012 NBA playoff vibes, where the West is so crammed, and you have Kobe Bryant coming off, I believe, his MVP. Maybe it was Bron. You have the Bron Heatles. You have the Mavericks, who looked phenomenal, and it's kind of giving me those vibes. And it is kind of nice to see, after all this talk about, the league and the viewership and whatnot. And now we're coming down the stretch, and we just have pure hoops. We have, I hate you, I hate you, I want this seed. I feel like this is so great for the league. And it is stressful to watch, being, a Minnesota sports fan, because, we like to crumble when it matters most. But I can't lie to you, man, just being a fan of basketball, this is super entertaining to watch. And I'm very, very excited to see how the remaining stuff of this is going to pan out. But with that being said, I don't know how much more you have to say. I'm going to pass the mic over to you, but I think we are going to start to wrap up today's show here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I second you. What I would add to that is, I believe I wrote about it today. Shameless plug, 21 minutes in, but I broke down all the opposing teams' schedules, just to snoop and lay it out. And I mean, Golden State plays 3 games in 4 nights. Memphis plays 3 games in 4 nights. The Clippers have 2 back-to-backs on their schedule tonight, and yesterday against Dallas was one of those. But I mean, it's weird how the scheduling worked out, where the Wolves are just, I mean, they don't play any back-to-backs. They don't play any 2 and 3 nights. They don't play any 3 and 4 nights. They don't have to play really any top-tier playoff teams. They already finished off Oklahoma City for the season. I mean, it's kind of this just really nice way to finish the season for a Wolves team that it took 4 months to kind of figure out what they were doing. Right now, though, I mean, what we're slated to get, as the odds makers have as most likely, is Denver, Minnesota in the first round, 3-6, which, man, 3 straight years of playing Denver in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know if you can deny that they're a rival anymore, if that's how this winds out. But other than that, yeah, shameless plug. My articles come out, zone coverage, every Saturday, every 2 Saturdays and Wednesdays. And then we're live streaming again after that Bucks game on Tuesday. So we'll be back.
Yes, sir. Bingo. You guys heard it here. We're going to be live Tuesday after the Bucks game. We're going to be live Thursday after the Grizzlies game as well. With that being said, I'm going to throw up a little better ad read for us real quick, and then we are going to wrap up the show for today. Today's show is also brought to you by Better, the sports betting app brought to you by Jake Paul. Sign up with our code, TheDailySPN, to get a deposit match up to $200, meaning if you deposit $200, Better will match that and give you $200 in free bets. Better is currently available in 34 out of the 50 states in the U.S., including Minnesota. If you see your state in the purple, that means you are eligible to download Better and start winning money today. Me personally, I usually find myself taking Anthony Edwards over on 3-pointers made, which I'm actually taking tonight against the Thunder, along with Jalen Williams to go under 24.5 points plus assists. Again, sign up with the code TheDailySPN, all one word, to receive a $200 deposit match and start winning money today. Once again, big shout out to Better. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's episode. And as always, Andrew, it's been great having you on. As you guys heard it, go check out his articles at Zone Lead. We got his Twitter right down there, right under him. So go check that out. We will see you guys Tuesday after the Bucks game. And as always, guys, go Wolves.
Go Wolves.